Today we'll be talking about some fundamentals in Python, or like some basics in Python, like variable expressions and all that basic stuff. So first of all, let us start with values and types. So basically, first I'll just open my terminal over here and just increase the size of it so that you guys can see it properly. So here I'm using a terminal, but you can also use your command prompt which you have over here in Windows. You just need to type in comd command in prompt and then it will come, or you can use idle also. It also works. So in this I'm just going to come into my Python 3 shell, and if you want to know how to install Python 3 and all that stuff, then you can just click on this video over here, and let's get started. So first of all, we have values and types. So a value is one of the basic things a program works with, like a letter or a number. The value we have seen so far are 1 or 2 or hello world, yeah, and these values belong to different types. So 2 is a integer and hello world is a string, because hello world, when we'll type it, then it will be inside the quotation marks, so we'll just call everything that is inside quotation marks is a string. Okay, so suppose that if I am going to go and just type in the command print hello world without the quotation marks, then a syntax error will come, but when I'll just type this statement by using quotation marks, and here you can use both single or double quotation marks, but make sure that they are the same quotation marks. Like if you're using a single over here, then you should use a single over here, and if you're using double, then they should be on both sides, and it should be inside parentheses if you want to print it. And now hello world is printed, and I can print simple numbers and everything, integers and all. They are to be printed without the quotation marks. Then it will be considered as string. So, and if you are not sure of what type of the value is, you can just type in your interpreter, inside your interpreter, this function. So this is a type command. So suppose that I have a okay, I'll just go in normal. So type, and in the parentheses I'll type in hello world, and I'll just close the parentheses and the quotation marks, and it is saying str meaning a string. And now like if I'll type in type and 1, then it will say it's an integer. Strings belong to the type str, and integers belong to the type int, but numbers with the decimal points, they are called a floating point. So I'll just give you an example of that. I'll just type in 1.1 and I'll run it, and it will say float meaning a floating point. And what about the numbers like 17 inside the quotation marks, or 3.2 inside the quotation marks? So suppose that when I'll just go with type and I'll use quotation marks 17. Oh, I forgot. And now it will say it is a string because it is inside the quotation marks. And if you are just going to put a float number in here with quotation marks like 1.1, then also it will be declared as a string. And then it is not a good idea also to put commas inside your statement. Like when you are printing something, you don't want to put commas over here. Like suppose you want to separate the values and all that stuff, so this will be printed because comma, they are usually referred to as gaps. Okay, and I'll just talk about it later sometime. And now coming on to the next topic, that are variables. So one of the most powerful feature of a programming language is the ability to manipulate variables. a variable is a name that refers to a value. Like suppose I can just type in a thing called as message, and now this will become a variable when I'll just put it equal to some value of hi. So now we had made a variable, and when I'll just run it, then it will, nothing will happen, but it is stored inside this inside the memory of Python temporarily. That message is equal to hi, and I can put n means number, any number is equal to 14, and the value of pi is 3.1415, then what was there, 92, something like that. Okay, and now suppose, and this example makes three assignments. The first assigns a string to a new variable named message. The second assigns an integer to an integer numbers 14 to n, and the third assigns the approximate value of pi. So when I'll just print message, then it will automatically print hi, and when I'll just go with print n, it will print 14, and if I'll just go with print pi, then it will print the value. So it is like we can just we are just placing some value, we are defining some values. So like if you are thinking that the type version will also work with this, then you are correct. We can use type also here, and it is saying string because we had our columns over here. So this is like what it is used for. And if I'll just type in n, and then the int will come, and then I'll just type in for pi value, because we are having it as a float, and here it is displayed as a float. So that is great. And now moving on to our next topic. Now we are having variable names and keywords. So, or you can call it some rules about naming a variable. So programmers generally choose names for the variable that are meaningful and like make somewhat sense. Like I will not just put the value of like suppose I made a variable, this is a string, and I'll just put it equal to 1. So it is kind of confusing if someone else reads your code, and it is kind of dumb also to name a variable like that. But like these are some basic rules that you should know. So variables can contain both letters and numbers, we know that, but they cannot start with a number. Yeah, you can actually, there are some rules for naming a variable, and it is legal to use uppercase characters, but it is a good idea that you begin a variable name with a lowercase character. And the underscore character which I used here can be used in names, and it is often used in names with multiple words, as such as I had used over here, because it like specifies the space and all. It looks a bit more programming type also. So if you to tell you some illegal type of name, let me just give a name like 76 hi. So suppose that this is the name of a variable, and the value for this is hi in columns, but here a syntax error comes because we cannot name a number, because it is illegal, because when we are having a variable and it is starting with a number, then that's illegal. And then another error that can come is, suppose I type hi at the rate, and if I name it this the value, and if I just give this the value, then also syntax error will come because of this at the rate symbol. And then suppose that I have a variable called class, and I am typing in it 10th, but I'll run it, and here also syntax error comes. Now you might be thinking that what went wrong over here, and if you'll just fast for Like if you'll just try to remember, then I told you that there are something called as Python reserved keywords, reserved words in Python. So here the Python program was like, okay, so I have a thing called as class, but as it remembers, like, oh, it's a class, that's a keyword and you can't use that, that's illegal, and that's why it is showing an error over here. And there are basically 35 keywords, and you can just google them up, and it will be nice if you can just have them noted down. Some of them to name are and, as, assert, break, class, continue, def, del, elif, else, false, for, from, if, import, in, not, or, non, while, true. So these are some of the variables that you can reserved keywords that you should not go with variable name. And then we have the next topic, that is operators and operands. So operators are special symbols that represent computer that represent some calculations like addition and multiplication. The values the operator is applied are called as operands. So the operators that we use are like plus or minus, and we refer to the star as multiply, and we use this as to tell that it is something is raised to the value of this. So like suppose I have 10, I'll just delete it and I'll just go with 10 plus 10 and I'll run it. We have 20. I can go with 10 minus 5, I'll have 5. I can go with 10 into 2, I'll have 20, and I can also have 2 raised to the power 2. So that means 2's the square of 2, that is 4, and like that I can just find out the cube root also. And yeah, that's it. So we can use this also. And for division, like we have 4 divided by 2, and that is 2.0, and it gives the value in float. Okay, actually there has been a change in division operator between Python 2 and Python 3. So in Python 3 the result of the division is a floating point result, but if I was in Python 2.0 or in the simple Python, then when I'll just run it, then it will be like the number will be rounded off to the nearest what can we say, to the nearest number. So like suppose that I type in 1 divided by 2, and here comes 0.5, but I'll just quit from this Python shell. Actually I have Python 2 also installed. Yeah, so now I am inside my Python 2, and this warning is because it is an old version and it is not recommended and all that stuff. But like suppose now I am in Python 2, not suppose, I'm really in Python 2, but now just when I'll just run this command, 1 divided by 2, and it will be 0. It rounded it off to the 0. Okay, so if I have 2 divided by 3, it will be rounded off to 0. So it is like if something is like 0 point something 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 something, then it will be rounded off. And this is but now in Python 3 we don't have this. So like I'll just run 2 divided by 3, and I'll have 0.666666666666. It gives us a float value. But suppose that you want this round off value also. So the people who made Python 3, they were smart enough and they realized that they were messing something up. So they named another thing called as a float division. It is spelled like F-L-O-R-E-D, float division. So basically what we have in it is, if we want the answer to be rounded off, like 1 divided by 2, if I want this 1 divided by 2 to be like this in the rounded off form, then I'll just use a double time 2 times the slash, and now it will be also rounded off inside Python 3 only. And so this was float division, which can be used in some of the places where you want to round off the answer. And now coming on to the next topic, expressions. So what is an expression? An expression is a combination of values, variables and operators. So how do I tell you about this? So for telling you about this, about expressions, so combination of variables and operators, for that I'll just open my atom over here. So you can also install atom. You can just go on Google Chrome and type in all the thing, everything opened at the same time. You can type in atom.io and you'll just run it, and you can just download it. It is a light version, light text editor. You can download it, or you can download PyCharm, or you can download VS Code. But don't download this full file. You just need to download Visual Studio Code, because that's all you need. The full VS Code, that's a bit advanced. So yeah, just coming back, I'll just cut my old programs over here, nothing to see over here, and I'll just open. I'll just open my YouTube code site, and over here let's make a new project. So what I'm going to name it is a new file, and just save it first. Let's call it test.py. I'll just save that. Okay, so like suppose when you are using the text editor and all that, so if you are just typing in the terminal directly 1 plus 1, then you are getting 2. I'll just quit from here, and now I'll just type it in here 1 plus 1, and I'll save it, and just let me print hi over here to just see that does my program finish or not. And I'll just save it, and I'll just come into this directory. So cd downloads and cd YouTube code, and now I'll just run my file. So python 3 and test.py, and now it prints hi, but 1 plus 1 2, that is not printed because it is not inside the statement. So that is what we need to do. Like this is like how expressions and all the things work inside the text editor. So you need to type in a print over here, and you don't need to place semicolons over here, because you know that it's not a string. So if I'll just run this command again, and now I have to, so that is something that I wanted to tell you, and now I can rhyme. Okay, so coming on to the next topic, we have order of operation. So it is more like something that you had studied in your junior classes, something that we call as board mass. So when more than one operator appears in an expression, the order of every evaluation depends on the rule of what do we call it? Okay, so in Python we call it PET. It is PEMDAS, or I don't know that I am pronouncing it correct, so I'll just call it PEMDAS or PEMDAS. But basically what it stands for is the P over what we have over here. The P, it stands for parentheses, and like anything inside the parentheses, so will be considered to be solved first in calculation. And then we have E, and E we are for E we are just going to use exponential that has the next highest value. So basically when anything is in the power, and when we are using this power symbol, then this will be ranked more. And then comes multiplication or division, and after that comes operations like addition and subtraction. And like in board mass, addition and subtraction, they have different rank, but in this Python version they have the same rank, and the multiplication and division also have the same rank. And now coming to the next topic, we have modulus operators. So the modulus operator works on integers and yields the remainder when the first operand is divided by the second operand. So basically the modulus operator is represented by a percent. Wow, I typed in so much. By a percent symbol. So like suppose that I type in that what is the round off value for 7 divided by 3. Oh yeah, I forgot to enter the Python 3 shell. Oof. Yeah, I'll just type that command over here again. So 7 floor division 3, so the answer is 2. And when I just type in 7 percent of 3, so this percent we don't read it as percent, it is called as a modulus operator. Basically it is used to find remainder. So here it tells us the remainder. So basically what we are getting to know here is 7 divided by 3 is 2 with 1 left in the remainder. Okay, so this is kind of useful when you are just using codes in which x percent of y is 0, then x is divisible by y. So you can apply that command. And now let's move on to the next topic, string operators. So basically in string operators we use the addition plus symbol operator with strings, but it is not addition in a mathematical term or sense. Instead it performs addition in strings. So that is something unique. Like, let me show you. So suppose that I name something x is 1 and y is 2, and I am like x plus y is equal to 3, right? But suppose if I have x is equal to 1 and I have y is equal to 1, yeah, I'll just keep both 1, okay? So then basically what you can see is that we have a string value for them. I'll just show you. If you don't believe me, then I can show you that this is a string. So now what will happen if I'll just pass in the command x is equal x plus y, then we'll have 11. And if you are thinking that oh, so this is a string, no, oh, that this is an integer, then you are wrong, because it is not an integer. When I'll just type in type x is y, and I'll have a string again because of the semicolons. So basically it's like adding these strings, and you can just type in x is equal to in the strings hi, and y in the strings y you can put in world, hi world or hello world. Okay, I'll just typed in hi world. So now what can I do? I'll just go with hi world. And you are thinking that, oh, the spaces did not come. Yeah, I know. So I'll just type in hi again, and I'll just leave a space over here. And for oh, I found there was going to be an error over here. Quick save. So one thing over here that you can use a comma also. That brings in a gap, but I just typed in a space manually. So now when I'll just go with x plus y, then I'll have hi world. Does not make a lot of sense, but it works. And then you are thinking, what about the multiplication symbol? Then suppose that I have x is equal to hi, and I did not need to type that, and I have y is equal to 100, and when I will print x multiply by y, then I will have hi. It is basically hi into 100. Okay, what can we call it? A Python slag? Maybe, but it is something fun that you can try. And Just let me try it with the proper indentation with some spaces over here. Yup, let me try it. Yeah, so that's what we have. And where did my code go? Okay, and now we are done with most of the basic fundamentals, and the next topic that we are going to cover is asking the user for input, because sometimes we would like to take the value for a variable from the user via the keyboard. So the Python provides a built-in function called input that we can use to take the command or to take some values for a variable from user. So like suppose I put in x is equal to input, and I'll just close it, and now it comes to the next line and it is just asking me for the input. So if in the input I'll put in 1 2 3, and when I'll just print x, then it will be 1 2 3. So it is like something that I entered is here, and we also have something called as an input prompt. So like if I can just put in x is equal to input, and here I'll just add a column over here, semicolon over here, and I'll just type in your name, and I'll just put in a slash n over here. So basically this what I'm just putting, it is used for okay so basically it is used for bringing our sentence in on the or our code on the next line. So basically this will just bring the everything to the next line. So when I'll just close it off and I'll run it, then my name is Daiwik, and now my name is the typing which I did was done on the bottom, and if I'll just remove this, then what will happen? Then Daiwik will be typed in front of it. So this is something about asking the user for input. And now something also that is used in or is counted in fundamentals of programming is commenting. So as the program gets bigger and more complicated, there is it gets more difficult to read, and formal language are dense, and it is often difficult to look at a piece of code and figure out immediately that, oh, I know what he did, because you did not write that code and you don't know what the other programmer was thinking. He might be thinking something else. Suppose that he made a variable called a and put in a value of hot sauce in that, then what will you be thinking? You won't be. Suppose that your just friend was like, oh, when I eat hot sauce, I'm like, so he just put the value for a, which is hot sauce, because he is like, I want the most meaningful thing for me. But a meaningful thing for your for another programmer is not a meaningful thing for you. So you'll be all confused and stuff, that, oh my god, why a is equal to hot sauce. You want maybe you want a O to be equal to hot sauce, but that I leave to you. So for that we are using comments, and basically we can comment things out by just using an hashtag, and I'll say in this comment I'll just type in 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. I am dope. LOL. Okay, so basically when I'll just run this command, nothing will happen, means only 1 plus 1 2 will come. So I'll just type in my command. Just let me see if I'm in the right oh yeah, I need to come out of the shell, so I need to type in quit, and I typed in something else. I need to come out of the shell. Yeah, and now I am just going to run this code. So python 3 test.py, and I have 2 and nothing over here is printed because we commented it out. So it's like only for the user to only for the programmer, so that the programmer gets to know that what I meant by this line of code. Okay, so according to me, this was all about the fundamentals that you need to know for Python. And if you had reached to the end, then don't forget to like and subscribe, because you are a very successful programmer, or you're going to be. Okay, see you later in the next one.
Let go of everything.